Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Rovers Report once again, where we are now less than 1 month away from kicking off our League One season away at Portsmouth. And I don't know about you, Tom, but excitement is starting to build. We've had a couple of pre-season games under our belt. If you guys are new around here, be sure to like the video and subscribe. As I said, excitement's building, and me and Tom are going to be putting out, regular videos weekly, so you don't want to miss that. With that all being said, mate, I think the most recent thing to speak about is probably that Eastleigh game on Saturday. Bristol Rovers ran out 2-0 victors. I think it was a good run out once again. Get some minutes in the legs against a better opposition than Melksham Town. What are your general thoughts on the performance, Tom?
Yeah, I completely agree, mate. From what I've read on the forum and on social media, it seems like it was another solid performance. As you said, with sort of pre-season's all about building blocks, isn't it? So, we're away to Cardiff tomorrow, even tougher opposition. We're playing Braga, who finished third in the Portuguese Premier Division last season, we're playing them on tour. So yeah, I think it's another stable result. I think it's something to build on. I think it's all about minutes. I know
Mhm.
it's maybe talking about cliches. Preseason's all about minutes, and talking about that at the start of preseason kind of dilutes the rest of stuff. But I think it's definitely like a good result. Eastleigh, no mugs. Obviously, Marquis and Sinclair on the goal sheet again. So pretty happy with that, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. I think like you said, there's a lot of cliches in pre-season, but another one for me is we've kept a clean sheet. So that's always good looking forwards. As I said in the last couple of videos, defence has been an area we needed to address for a while. I'm not going to read too much into two clean sheets against lower league opposition, but that is a positive. And another thing we talked about there is getting minutes and legs. Our first sort of topic is someone that has had the most minutes out of all of our players this pre-season. It's a man that was on loan at Hungerford Town last season. 21-year-old Ryan Jones, who has been playing, as a left back for us. I personally, when he first signed, thought he was more of an attacking player. But yeah, he's flirted for the first team now, Tom. And I just wanted to sort of get your thoughts on his potential and what the season might hold for him.
Of course, I mean, I just read in the Bristol Post this morning that we may be loaning him out again, which wouldn't really make sense to me considering we've signed him on a 1-year contract extension. I personally have him in competing with Gordon for that left back position. Granted, yeah, it's against Melksham Town and Eastleigh that we've played against so far this pre-season, but it's quite clear that he's way above Conference South and probably conference level as well. Obviously, he's untested in the Football League, but I think he's someone that is clearly rated by the coaching staff. So whether a loan to a League Two club perhaps would be better, but
Mm.
he's definitely impressed in pre-season, playing in sort of that left back role. So personally, I'd have him in the squad for season. What about you?
Yeah, no, I get that point. And, if we sort of look at both sides of it, I think from your point of view, where you keep him in and around the squad, there's many reasons you would do that. We don't have too much cover in that position. So, if he's not necessarily going to start, I think Rovers fans are all pretty happy with Gordon being our first choice left back at the moment. Like you said, his ability is unquestioned because, he went out to National League South. He won their Young Player of the Season at Hungerford. So we know he's a good player. And I agree. Whenever I've seen him play, he came on in that Oxford game last season, and he impressed there. Just the other side for me is, maybe it is the next logical step, him going to, a League Two team. I think the big point for me is if we're having him as a left back, we've seen a lot this season or last season even that physicality is quite important. And I think we really saw a jump, didn't we, in Luca Hall's game. I think within the space of about a year, he really bulked up. I think there's a lot of talk of him going from a boy to a man, and I think maybe that's what Barton and his coaching staff sort of see with Ryan Jones. He's quite a slight figure. He doesn't particularly look too strong. So maybe one more season out in hardy men's football, and that's what they're hoping is he'll come back from that. Or maybe even at Christmas he comes back from that and he's a bit more stockily built and ready for the men's game. But I agree. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing him in and around the squad. But then again, if we could go and have him play 35, 40 games for a League Two team, and we might really have a good prospect on our hands. But yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because you don't want to stunt his growth by keeping him around and not playing, but also we might need him, and he might well be good enough. Luca Hall was given a chance and he flourished. So the same might be of Ryan Jones. But yeah, as we said, mate, getting some minutes into him. Is there anything more you want to say upon that, mate, or you all good to move
No,
on?
nothing to add, mate. I just think, yeah, obviously, my personal opinion is that he should be in and around the squads, sort of competing in that left back position. Also, he seems pretty versatile as well. I know when he was younger, he played left wing for Western quite a bit. I know when he was also at Cleveland Town under 18s, I'm pretty sure.
Mm.
I remember watching him play against Man City in that FA Youth Cup
Oh
tie.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he's playing Cam that day as well. So someone I think who can have versatility in the squad, but that's obviously my personal opinion. Joey knows better than me.
Well, yeah, I know what you're saying, but also, we spoke about having how that I'm not sure. Again, I'll probably butcher his name, but that Tio Katatan, he sounds a similar sort of player. Obviously, very technical, can operate across many positions in that front area. Why not bring Ryan Jones in and sort of give him a chance? But I think what Barton and this coaching team will be thinking is let's harden him up a little bit. But then, yeah. But moving on, mate, from a player that's had a lot of minutes in pre-season to two or three actually that haven't had any so far, and that is Josh Grant, Jordan Rossiter, and Lewis Gordon. Lewis Gordon, I think, is in a separate sort of category to them. I think he played a lot of games last year, so you can't really point the sort of injury stick at him. But with that being said, Josh Grant and Jordan Rossiter, mate, are you getting frustrated at this, or are you looking long term and thinking actually ease him back in, and you're not too concerned about it?
I'm going to be sitting on the fence in terms of that. I think Grant actually played against Melksham in the second half, but didn't feature against Eastleigh. I think
Oh, yeah, my bad.
Mangan mentioned that he had a little niggle.
Mhm.
So I mean, they said, oh, he's bound to have the after what is it, 13 with an ACL injury.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's the idiosyncrasies of that sort of injury. I obviously I'm not a medical professional, but I just hope that he can play a little bit more in pre-season because he's a versatile, perhaps someone who could actually be a backup to Gordon at left back and allow Jones to go out on loan. Going back to the previous point,
That's a good
I
point,
think
mate.
what's more concerning is Rossiter, considering we've had no news from the club at least for a little while. I think he's a linchpin. I was one of his biggest fans before he was injured. I think we could all see the correlation between his appearances and our form
Definitely.
last season. So someone who we desperately need. I think the first name on the team sheet, perhaps after Collins, in my opinion. So it's concerning. I think he's obviously had a lot of injury problems in his career from when he was at Liverpool to last season. So it's slightly concerning to be honest. I think considering we may well have to bring someone in to provide backup if he's not able to start the season.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I agree, mate. I think I hope and I imagine that Joey Barton is building a squad that doesn't rely on those two players to be there week in, week out. I think that would be, in Joey Barton using a word he likes to use, negligent, because you can't rely upon them. I actually stated, didn't I think last season that I would have let Josh Grant go. That's it's not a slight on him, anything to do with his footballing ability. I just think at this level, you don't really want to have too many passengers. Joey Barton's obviously decided that he's worth the risk. And, don't get me wrong, I can see that because a fully fit Josh Grant is upper League One Championship level. But how many times are we going to see that? In terms of their preseason minutes, it doesn't bother me that. Realistically, I imagine there's good medical advice to suggest not to play them, and I'd much rather them miss these games than potentially when it comes to March and we're pushing for the playoffs. Hopefully, those players will be fit and ready to go then. Eastleigh away or Melksham away, it doesn't really matter if they're not there for them. But I also understand the frustration. Oh, there's another squad without Rossiter, there's another squad without Grant. But yeah, I think to be honest, mate, if both of those are fit, I personally think they'll play a massive role in our season. I don't know about you, but you know, it's annoying. That's why we're so frustrated, is because they're so good, isn't it? Can you see them being a big part of our season this year, mate?
I guess having mentioned what was last season, I can definitely see him playing another important role this season
Mm,
if he starts. I think Grant, perhaps in a different way, through his versatility across the back line and in midfield. Um, but I certainly I can't really sort of overstate the importance I think Rossiter has to the way we play as that pivot in front
mm,
of the back four, someone with quite a bit of experience to sort of I guess guide a young defence. Even with the addition of Wilson and Friend, it's we still have
mm,
some young defenders.
mm.
Um, so I think I think both would be important players. I think in different ways.
Yeah, yeah, I agree, mate. I think especially Rossiter, we know what he can do for the team. Josh Grant is someone we haven't really seen for, well, pretty much a whole season now. So, it's one of those, he could come in and be absolutely important to us, or I think sadly, which I'm going to predict is, he'll be in and out of the squad with his injuries. But, I trust Barton. If he thinks he's worth it, then go ahead. So yeah, I guess sort of touching on that there with those two. In general, mate, as I've said, we're just under 4 weeks now away from the start of the season. We've made 4 acquisitions, additions to the team. We've addressed a lot of our defensive errors, our experience. We've obviously added Luke Thomas and Giovanni Brown in the attacking areas. On the whole, how are you feeling about how our squad's shaping up and going forwards? What additions would you like to see? Do you think we're weak in any areas still? Yeah, just a sort of analysis of our squad at the minute.
Yeah, I think no complaints from me really regarding sort of the transfer window we've had so far. It seems pretty balanced in terms of the sort of differences in across the pitch. I think we clearly need another centre half. I know everybody would love to have Connor Taylor back. Whether that would happen with obviously it being dependent on Stokes' squad as well, that would be an amazing sign if we could pull that off. I haven't seen any direct rumours of that happening online. So I think we do need another centre half. We seem to be after Alfie May as well, although that seemed to die down with Charlton winning the race seemingly. I think we were talking about this, weren't we, in terms of the trade-off between buying a
Yeah,
30-year-old
yeah,
for 250 grand who's probably guaranteed to score 20 to 25 goals a season. It's a complete no-brainer if we could actually pull it off. I don't really know what's happening with the transfer, but a lot of people were talking about not signing him due to um,
due to what,
the
mate?
amount
Sorry, just say that again.
pull off. Sorry, I think my
That's right,
Wi-Fi
Karen. What are you
just
saying?
went.
What was it? We couldn't pull it off.
Uh, I'd say I was just saying if we could pull it off, then that would be an unbelievable signing.
Mm,
Someone who's guaranteed to score that many goals. It doesn't matter about resale value.
yeah.
If someone like Billy Sharp became available for one season, I'm sure we'd definitely snap him up as well.
No, I totally agree, mate. I think, a lot of people have sort of seen this modern version of football, like football manager style, where everything has to be a sellable asset. If you want to go down that route and sort of go money based, bringing him in, like you said, 2 seasons of 20 plus goals, that's at least going to give us a chance at promotion. Ticket numbers will go up because of, scoring goals, winning games. So I totally agree, mate. Not every sale has to be a sellable asset going forward. So yeah, I think from my perspective, mate, our squad, if I was just going to sort of run through it, I think in goal, it looks like Belly's going to be sticking around. What I'd probably envisage happening is towards the back end, we'll probably get a Championship or Premier League loanee in. And I actually think whoever that is will start ahead of Belshaw. I think, Barton clearly feels that for that levelling up sort of, of the squad, he needs someone better than Belshaw. And I love Belshaw, but I agree. So for me, I think Ward will probably go out on loan. Defensively, I would like a wing back on each side to come in, and maybe one or two more centre backs. And again, out of those 4 signings, I would imagine 2 or 3 of them will be loanees, which I don't have a problem with. We've used the loan market well in the past couple of seasons. I'd like one more centre mid, and then I'd like another winger. I was sort of flitting on this. For the winger, I imagine that will definitely be a loanee. For the centre mid, I was thinking, could we do with a bit of experience in there? But actually, when you look at it, we've got Evans, we've got Finley, we've got Rossiter, we've obviously got Grant Ward. So maybe someone, I think it was for Shrewsbury, Kieran Phillips came in for them in the middle, and did a job. Maybe someone like a Luke McCormick who came in for us in that League One season, bringing that energy. Someone like that could be perfect for our squad. And then the big one for me actually is up top. I would like to see Marquis given a run of games, because you look at our attack now and there's a lot of creativity in there. And he's a man
Yeah.
that only needs a couple of chances a game. He'll get chances, I think. And then the other one for me, which is Ryan Loft. I think at the minute, the only real thing that he has in his favour is that he is a different option off the bench. He doesn't really fit in with Barton's style of play. We don't want to hoof it long. And don't get me wrong, he presses and he's quick, but I think he could be at risk of leaving the squad. I like him as a different option off the bench, but I think he potentially could either go out on loan, or I could see him signing for a League Two team. Yeah, that's my thoughts on
Yeah,
this.
I agree. I mean, we mentioned, I guess, with the signings that we've made already, we're sort of building for that push towards the top end of the table. So 2 years ago, it was similar in terms of Operation Promotion from League Two. We
Mm,
signed players like Coots and Finley who had experience of playing the league above as well as being promoted from League Two. So if you're looking at sort of a central midfielder, um, who's in that position for us now, someone ideal, and I don't think we'd be able to pull this off because I think it'd be too difficult, would be Max Power. Someone like Max Power, an experienced head in the middle of the park. He's been promoted from League One and has played in the Championship. Someone like that, I think, perhaps in the middle of the park to add. I think attacking wise, if we were to loan out Loft, we could bring in another number nine.
mm,
Whether that's someone who'd start ahead of Marquis, I'm not sure. As I said, I really don't know what's happening with the Alpha May signing. It was kind of rumored that he was going to
mm,
Charlton, but I haven't seen anything today. It
mm.
seemed to be pretty oscillatory. I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think the centre half is probably someone who's a little bit quicker than Wilson. I guess Connor Taylor, I mentioned obviously before, but he sort of fits the mold perfectly.
Mm.
Um, in terms of the two wing backs you mentioned, would that be two separate wing backs, or would you be happy with, say, one Premier League loanee who can play right wing back and left wing back, or right back and left back in a four?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'd probably like. I think, yeah, for left back, I feel like we probably need someone who's a bit more defensively minded. But then again, you say that George Fender's come in, so he can obviously cover there. Because if you look at our right back options now, we've got Luca Hall that can play there, and I think we might see him play there a bit more this year. And then you've obviously got James Gibbons as well. So maybe we don't actually need anyone there, but I think probably a Premier League or Championship loanee to come in that can maybe cover both those positions. Just one final thing, mate. Just a player that's potentially recently come available, which I know you rate massively, and that is Luke Leahy, mate. Would you be excited to have him back at club, or do you disagree there?
Seems like he's off to Project Hollywood, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I know Shrewsbury fans rate him quite highly. Someone I think is I'm not a huge fan of his. I think I guess he worked quite well in a sort of direct Shrewsbury team, but probably the sort of player we should be looking at for the way we play. But all the best to him, I guess. At Wrexham, he's probably on a lot of money, a lot more money than we could offer anyway.
yeah,
If in Dreamland we actually managed to sign him, but yeah, that's an interesting one. I think it'll be very interesting to see who Wrexham sign this summer
yeah.
and going forward as well, and how well they did next season. I think they'll obviously be looking to be promoted again,
Mm.
especially with the three automatic promotion slots in League Two.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And just a bit of fun then at the end. I'm sort of putting you on the spot here, mate. So we can go through it together if you want. But if the season started tomorrow with our current squads, should we just go through it and just basically see what our starting team would be? I think let's presume that we're going to be running with a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, anything like that. Yeah, if you want to kick it off, mate. If you do your goalkeeper and your back four, and then we'll flip it over to me and we'll see if we disagree on anything, or we'll probably go for the same route.
Sure. So with the current squad that we have, obviously Bailey starts. I'd have Luca Hall right back, Wilson, and I assume Connolly centre halves, and Flash Gordon left back.
Yeah.
Um, I think Friend would offer some good versatility and backup, but I'm not sure whether he'd start.
Mm.
That's something I guess we could assess quite early in the season. What about
Yeah.
you?
I don't know. It's hard, isn't it? Because part of me is thinking, you're going down to Fratton Park. Maybe you go with the experience of Friend and Wilson, but then does that leave us exposed in terms of pace? But then again, you've got Gordon and Hall in there who could definitely cover. So, I would be tempted to. Yeah, I think the only change I would potentially make there is swapping out Connolly for George Friend. But that's sort of six of one, half a dozen of the other, isn't it? So I think, yeah, moving into midfield for my three, it's a tough one, this actually, isn't it? I think all players fit. I'll be going with Rossiter. Oh, that's tough. Probably Rossiter, and I'm going to go Finley and Rossiter at the base just because I know that's worked so well in the past. And then just ahead of them, I'd probably be going with Giovanni Brown for me. I think we've got to go out there all guns blazing. If you've got the talent, utilize it. What do you think there, mate?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think perhaps maybe if we played Rossiter in a pivot and then Finley and Ward ahead in a three,
Mm.
I think that's something we could also do.
A bit more
And then
defensive.
Brown, yeah, and then Brown and would play on one of the wings. So if I were to have two wingers, it would be though they would be I guess Collins on the left, even though I think his best position is actually just a roaming player, just anywhere
Yeah.
across that
It
front
could, it could
line.
be
Just
fluid
say,
almost, couldn't it? That front three.
yeah, exactly. Because Collins did play sort of, this was before Christmas. His best form was when I think Joey just said to him, look, just stay in that attacking third and go wherever the hell you want,
Yeah.
especially in that game against Exeter. Where he was unbelievable that night. So Collins on the left, I'd have Luke Thomas or Giovanni Brown on the right,
Yeah.
and then I think Big John at top.
Nice, mate. I like that. I think for me, like I said, I'd have Giovanni Brown in the hole. I think he said that's where he prefers to play. I'd probably go with Aaron Collins on the left, Big Johnny Marquis up top, and I'd actually probably go for Scott
Go
St.
for Scott.
The other wing. Just because for me, I think, having Luke Thomas off the bench is a bit of a live wire, probably offers a little bit more than, Sinclair. And I think, especially early phases in that Portsmouth game, someone as experienced as that, just to get their foot on the ball. But, I think there's only a couple of changes in there that we'd make. So it'll be interesting to see what you guys think. Let us know in the comments below if you change anything, or, if there's any potential players we've missed there who should definitely be starting. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, Tom. The excitement's starting to build now, isn't it, mate? And I'm sure it is for you guys as well. So thanks for coming on again, Tom. I think we'll probably do a reaction to the Cardiff game somewhere down the line this week. But for now, that's everything. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you later.